to you?
Well, I think we've been very clear internationally, publicly, privately, that we think this is a dangerous idea. So, and we have a warning still on the books for our own citizens. So.
Okay.
Okay, please.
On Bahrain, protests today, tear gas used by riot police against the demonstrators. Are you guys aware of that, and have you been in touch with anyone in the Bahraini government today?
We have been in touch with folks in the Bahraini government. Our embassy has been in touch. I can't speak to the precise incidents that you're speaking to. Were these in connection with the death of the father of Hussein al-Da'i? Was that? Yeah. So as I understand the situation, the father of the deputy head of Wafaq died yesterday, and there have been protests around that. So in that context, obviously our condolences go out to Mr. al-Da'i's family and to his loved ones. We understand that in connection with the circumstances of the father's death, the family has now filed a criminal complaint with the Bahraini police, and we, the U.S., would encourage full transparency as this case proceeds, and we obviously call on everybody to exercise restraint. It is a fragile time in Bahrain as all sides wait for the Bahraini Independent Commission of Inquiry report. So we're obviously urging restraint on all sides, but particularly transparency with regard to the investigation of this case.
But they haven't actually been very restrained if riot police are shooting tear gas at people marching at a funeral. So that you're not exactly heeding your call for restraint.
Well, again, this is an incident that's unfolding today. We are urging restraint privately. I am urging restraint publicly here today. Jill?
There is a report out there about targeting drones and getting into the subject of more careful targeting to avoid other damage, or even just to not, let's say, annoy the Pakistanis as much. In one of those reports, they mentioned that the State Department now has more of a role in actually setting the targeting. Can you explain if that is correct and give us some details?
I am sorry to say, Jill, but as you would have predicted, I'm not going to get into intelligence issues at all from the podium.
Could I bring up another subject? China?
Yes.
Mitt Romney has been talking about the fact that China apparently does get some type of foreign aid from the United States. He's quite critical of that. Thinks that China, with its budget and income and economy, can well afford not to have U.S. aid. Do you know what exactly he's talking about in terms of money and what kind of assistance that might be?
Well, let's first of all draw a hard red line that we're not going to get into campaign issues here. Right. We're not going to have a tit-for-tat with candidates here. We're not involved in politics. We're not involved in the campaign. So with regard to what this particular candidate is about, I would refer you to his campaign. I would refer you to the president's campaign. That said, with regard to what we fund in China, and I can seek a full breakdown for you if that's helpful, but I would remind that a good amount of the relatively small amount of money that we spend in China compared to other countries, Afghanistan, Pakistan, etc., is directed at supporting non-governmental groups that are involved in protecting rule of law, protecting human rights, protecting the rights of the Tibetan people within China. We have quite a robust program in that regard. So if it's interesting to you, Jill, we can get a fuller rundown of the money. Okay.
We'll go back to Bahrain.
Yeah, anything else on this subject? No? Back to Bahrain, Saeed.
We used to have terror alert, like going from hot red to orange to green. I want to ask if you have like a similar scale for all these uprisings in the Arab world, and where does Bahrain fall on the sense of urgency in terms of dealing or asking for reforms?
Well, we're not keeping a stoplight chart on the Arab awakening and the Arab Spring, if that's what you're asking, Saeed.
The reason I'm asking this because the feeling in the region is that when it comes to Bahrain, or even to a lesser degree Yemen, there seems to be not as much enthusiasm, from the podium of the State Department to really call for an urgent end to this or an urgent change for that and so on. Do you agree with that?
I disagree.
Do you agree that Bahrain gets a free pass?
I vehemently disagree with that, Saeed. Each situation is different, as you know, but in all situations, we are in support of reform, openness, meeting the needs of the people, and particularly support for the universal human rights of individual citizens. In the context of Bahrain, as we've spoken about this week, as we spoke about very fulsomely when the Bahraini foreign minister was here, we are focused on the Bahrainis' own commission, independent commission of inquiry report that is coming out with regard to the incidents that have happened in the past. I just spoke out quite forthrightly about what's going on there today. And we want to see not only a good and transparent and open accounting for human rights concerns of the past, we want to see implementation of the recommendations of the report so that the systemic changes that need to be made are made in Bahrain. In the back, Lalit.
Secretary, the special envoy on Burma was traveling to Burma this